Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Serendipity. I am Dr. Nicole here in Florida, which is sunny and warm again.
Hey, I'm Kimberly Chenevert coming from Northern Virginia.
And I'm
Awesome.
Tony Fleming coming from Atlanta, Georgia.
And Mr. Fleming is our guest, although he may think that he is a resident here, but he is our guest. Whee!
Okay. I gave Lavonda the elbow.
Uh,
Move over.
she'll be popping on just a second. So, uh, so we're bringing. First of all, you all don't want none of this for sure. So we've had lots of debates privately, and we thought that we would bring it forward because Mr. Fleming has a lot of feelings and opinions and beliefs about certain things that we're going to put to the test here, kind of have some discussion.
Right.
Oh.
So, so
We
Mr.
ready?
Fleming,
You ready?
we're ready for you
I'm
to
ready to go.
fire away.
Okay.
Let's get the fire going.
All
What
right.
you got?
Well, I'm going to start off, and this might take the whole show with my Super Bowl question I had. I thought I got you out the way, Lavonda.
You
How you
used the
show back
wrong
up?
elbow. You're not supposed to be using that one
Oh,
anyway.
that's the wrong one. She can't even hear us. Y'all need to take it. Bye-bye. There you go.
She's
All
coming
right.
back in.
So here's the question that I had on my page on Super Bowl Sunday, and people said, you got too deep. Why are you getting too deep on Super Bowl? I said, well, I put this up here, 2-3 hours before the Super Bowl because it was just a thought process I had. And it's a long, detailed question, but I'm going to kind of shorten it up a little bit and just ask this question in this way, particular way. So you hear all the time that, why black folks do this and why we do that and why we rob each other and why we kill each other and why we, smoke crack and why we, just all kind of stuff because, that we actually do. That's what they emphasize now. And my question was, it's no comparison. It's nothing that I can compare our situation to that I can come up with a legitimate answer to say, why we do this. Because nobody else in the history of time has been through what we've been through. So, I wanted to see somebody like a group of people, like I put on my page, I call them the purple people. So let's say the purple people were going through 200 to 400 years of slavery. They debate on that, whether it was 200 or 400 years, but anywhere between 200 and 400 years of slavery, brought to this country, really, tied to ships and brought to this country. Even once slavery was over, we were put in jail because, we had nowhere to go. And so they would just have the police that would lock us up. We couldn't read. You get caught reading, they could kill you, or they even kill the person who's trying to teach you how to read. Never got any reparations, never got any, never got our 40 acres and a mule. So many things that's happened to us that I have no comparison to. Now,
Right.
What a lot of people will say, black people say, well, Tony, you not doing that. You're not acting like that. You're not doing it. You're not doing that way. So why do you give them a pass? Well, here's the problem. I don't have anything to compare it to because if I had something to compare it to, let's say purple people instead of black people. Well, purple people and black people went through the exact same thing. 200 years of slavery, all the stuff. And now we look at the purple people and everybody's living well. Everybody's nice. Everybody's doing good. Everybody has a job. Everybody's So then I got something to compare it to. So now I can actually go to the purple people and say, what did y'all do to get out of this mess that you were in?
Right. Right.
But some people say, well, Tony, why don't they come to you and ask you? I said, well, what was done to us could have been done to where 30%, 25% of people will never ever change because of what was done. That could be, I don't care what I do or what I say or what we do and say, it just could be that way. And some people say, well, no, that ain't true. You know, if somebody else did it, you can do it. And I believe some of that, but when I look on television, you look in the media, what they show of us is mainly that. When the news starts, the first 10, 15 minutes is mainly that. So my question is, what is it? Why are we, or is that the truth about us, or is that what they show only of us and don't show of other races? Or I don't know. I'm trying to see what is the answer to that situation, because obviously it's something going on here. So let me hear y'all answers. Let's hear, be truthful about what you actually think, because some people don't think what I just said. They think that, hey man, I dragged myself up by the boots. I was in the same neighborhood. They should be able to do it too.
Yeah, that's not totally true. Definitely, I have strong feelings about things that went on in the past. And like you said, we have no comparison. And I know that very commonly what is brought forward is the Holocaust, where
that's not even close.
I know it's not even close, because the time is much shorter. It was for a very circumscribed time. And
they didn't bring them over here in ships.
No, they came on of their own free will. Yeah. And actually it wasn't even here. They were in their own country.
Right.
And so, yeah, I don't think that there's any comparison. Now, let's just make it clear. Doesn't mean that, the lives of Jews didn't matter. And that always gets to be a thing, because we pay attention to the disparities that happen with us in our community. Then people say, oh, but so-and-so matters. No, we're not saying that. But this requires special attention for the reason that you're saying. It went on for so long. It was so infiltrating the mind, control, I would say, and what they saw, their families being torn apart, not being with their children, not being with their wives, men being made to sleep with other women. Right. So creating that whole thing, women being raped by the masters, and, because they were property, not even being counted as people. I mean, it is.
But
it is uncomparable.
But you have people that say to you, Doc, that was so long ago, and y'all still bringing that up, and that was 400, 500 years ago. Nobody's acting like that now. Y'all just, why you keep bringing that up? I ain't have nothing to do with that.
It was yesterday.
Right.
It was yesterday when we have so many of our community being killed, obviously being treated unfairly, unjustly. As a matter of fact, my sister just told me about an incident just happened, I guess just yesterday or today, where some kids were fighting, some teenagers were fighting. Two other people from another race were on top of the black kid. The police actually had to pull those people off of the black kid, and they handcuffed and arrested the black kid.
But here's another statement. Well, yeah, they do that. All cops are not bad, but y'all killing each other. What about that? Y'all killing each other.
I think we've talked about this too, just a level of frustration that can occur, and you're in an environment where you don't see any way out. Like who else are you going to lash out at? Just like in a family relationship, you know, when you're upset or whatever, you lash out at the people that are closest to you because that's your environment. Um, and
We had
so,
drugs dropped in our community. We have guns dropped in our community in the alleys. You got young kids wake up in the morning, walk out in the alley. It's a box of 200 different type guns that's not even sold in their neighborhood at the stores. Those guns are like, you don't even have them anywhere in the store to buy them. These are like automatic rifles that are in boxes in the alley. And a young kid come out and grab one, and you know, they giving them out. All this stuff is going on. But you know, somebody will say, well, Tony, you made it out of it, and somebody else, so then you ought to be able to show them, tell them. And I'm like, I don't know, you know. Kimberly, what's your answer?
I mean, I don't have too much to say. To go back even to, I guess, the Holocaust comparison, to me, that's even, not, well, I won't say it's even worse. I won't say that at all because it is no comparison to the two at all. But you know, no, I won't even speak of it. I'm gonna be quiet about it. Leave my thoughts to myself about that. But even taking my kids to Mount Vernon, George Washington's plantation, because let's be clear, it was a plantation. Um, just being around what actually happened to see how our people were living, the way they told the story, like it was really passe. Like, oh, these enslaved people, because that's the new term. They say enslaved people to keep it politically correct, I guess, to not make it sound so bad that, oh, it was just these enslaved people lived here. Look at the bunk beds that they got to sleep in. Like, I heard a woman say that to her child, like, oh, see how fun that was? They lived in bunk beds. Are you serious?
Right.
Like, and I'm standing there, and of course, we were the only Black people on the tour, first of all. And then to see how the plantation was set up, you had his house, you know, his mansion. He had two slave quarters right behind his house, a woman's dormitory and a men's dormitory. And then you walk about maybe a half a mile down the Potomac, come around to one part of his plantation, which was considered the sheep farm. And then maybe another 3 or 4 miles, he had another part of the plantation, and people would get ripped from their homes and couldn't go to their homes at night. They had to stay at this plantation, and maybe on Sunday you can go visit your family at the other plantation. Oh, don't forget, there's another plantation, oh, still a part of his compound, George Washington's compound, on the other side of the river, and people couldn't go see their families at all. And just to hear how they would talk about it, like, oh, it was no big deal. Oh, look how this happened, and look how beautiful his house was, and ooh, it their houses look bigger than I thought it was. And just hearing the conversations about what happened to our people, like it was just all hunky dory, sickened me. So for them to say things like, oh, well, that happened so long ago. Well, no, it's being quote unquote glorified in the present.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just despicable. And
I
then
mean,
the mentality of our own people to, you know, to be like, well, you know, well, we were stuck here. This is where they put us. So we might as well make the best of what we got. No, that's how they had us then. That's not where all of our ancestors fought to get out of to put us back in.
right.
That's, and I don't know. I just think it's definitely a mindset, and it's a real stronghold mindset that our community has, and it's really hard to break, and not too many people even want to break it because it's comfortable.
Yeah. And what do you think the answer is? Because we don't control the media, so we can't, you know, sanction what's being said and what's not being said. We can't say, look, you can't show that on the news. You can't do this on the news because we don't control the media, which dictates or gives out a lot of information. You know, imagine a kid that sat in front of the television growing up because his mom and dad were working 2 jobs or something. So the television babysitted them, and they watched the news every day. And what they saw was us robbing and killing but see, that happens with everybody. It doesn't happen just with our race, but that's what a lot of that they show. So now that person thinking that's who I'm supposed to be.
Right.
So it's easy for somebody to say, well, no, you need to raise them correctly. You need to, but if, I'm just saying, what is the answer? Because how do you, or is there an answer? Because again, I don't know if that programming is so strong, they talked about that, how they pitted the light skin against the black skin, dark skin, black folks, put the light skinned ones in the house, dark skin in the field, and, have them turn against each other, and love them, their ice is colder. And I'm just saying, how do you come up with a answer for this whole thing of, and is it an answer? Because I don't know how to, when I try to answer it, it's so many things I could say that when somebody responds, well, you ought to be able to do this and that, I'm like, well, it's just so much. I don't know what.
There are a lot of things. I mean, in the medical field, we use the word multifactorial so much because there are so many elements that come to meet in the middle, that how do you chip away at any of them in an equal fashion in order to, be able to affect everyone. And I think that you're right, is that it didn't only happen to us. They have brainwashed and indoctrinated each other. That's how it's perpetuated, how this has been perpetuated, and now is implicit bias that folks don't even realize that they are biased because they have that programming, and they carry it on, like the lady that Kimberly's talking about, saying that. And I can remember being in school and we were reading about slavery in the history book, in the American history book, and I remember literally there was one paragraph, and they made sure to say in that paragraph that, oh, everyone didn't have slaves. As a matter of fact, a very few amount of people had slaves. But even if a few comparatively to the population had slaves, many of them had many slaves and generations of slave families. So how does that justify? But I can remember that, and that is so imprinted in me, because that right there, I knew differently then, and I definitely have learned differently now. I've actually been to Nigeria and to Ghana and gone to the slave castles, where they call them actually slave castles. Can you imagine? Because that's to attract the tourists, right?
Yeah.
But I think it was in Ghana where they had this point of no return. And I can tell you, even now, as I speak about it, I carry the most eerie feeling about it, because it's almost like you could feel the spirits of the folks left. And it is so daunting, like it was unreal. And above one of those areas was a church. So as they're in church, and there was a school, as they're in church or school, slaves are being moved underneath them through these areas. And the point of no return was the last place where there's a small window on each tunnel where the women and the men, that's the last time they're able to see each other. And then they go and they can see each other no more and continue out to the water to get on a boat. I mean, I can't even describe that feeling.
Right.
I still feel it anytime I think about it or talk about it. And then where they were held, in the room where they were held, where there's just a little trough of a trench where women had their menstruation, whatever waste and whatever was just in that, and they're all crammed together. And there's a tiny, tiny wall, tiny window way up. It's like at least 15 feet up to let a little bit of light through. And I don't even think that light was meant for them. I think that was meant for whoever's moving them out so that they could see. So it is just tremendous all of that, and that being perpetuated throughout in many different ways, that same mentality is still perpetuated throughout our society now. And I don't know how we recover from that because
I mean, if you think about it, generations after generations, if we go by, what we talk about, that what you hear from the womb to age 8 or 9, and it never gets addressed. So generation after generation after generation after generation, it never really gets addressed because we definitely don't want. We're not going to go to any therapist or anything like that because that's if Jesus can't do it, then something wrong with you. So we're going to always have that kind of thought process. But that stuff has never been addressed. So it's been going down through generations. And that's how, when people say, well, that was 400 years ago. No, it's still here. Even though you might have
very much
slowed
so.
down with some of the things that y'all did at that time, and you might not be a person. But that mentality, that
Right.
thought process, that mindset has been programmed through generations. That's what the what is that? The Lynch letter or something talks about, even though
Yes.
whether it's true or not, it said in that letter that, once you get the brain, you don't have to do anything else. Once you get the mind, that will perpetuate forever and it'll be there forever. And they started off controlling that. And so it's just difficult when I see situations where people say, well, and I think some situations, some people can change, some can't, but I don't think that we're not just those type people. But then the question again, like I started the conversation with, is how do we answer this? What do we do about it? I mean, what can we do about it? I mean, how can you change it? Kimberly?
I mean, even with you saying that, what's the answer? How do you get out of it? And our culture is quick to be like, well, Jesus will pull us through.
Right.
Well, if you think about it, that's still a form of brainwash, because where did we get Jesus from? During the slavery days, Master taught you about Jesus.
Right.
Love the Lord. Don't get it twisted. But that's the truth. That's where we learn that from. So that right there is still being spread out.
I mean, think about it. When you're being whipped and chained, I mean, you chained up, you're being whipped and beaten, barely getting food, scared to death. So late at night, when y'all together and they let you together for a few minutes, that's all you could do is pray to Jesus. Who else could you call on? So Jesus was the only thing that people.
But that's what they told you to do. After they whipped and beat you, they said you better ask God for forgiveness.
Yeah, but you never had anything else, and so that's all that. And since then we've gotten better with things, but we're still saying the same thing. Instead of going to do some things, we're still thinking, well, Jesus is gonna do it for us. You know what I'm saying? Jesus, we just go to Jesus and we go that, because at that time that's the only thing you could do. You couldn't really do anything else. And so that mindset has gotten us to a point where even that, we don't want to move and do something unless Jesus does it for us.
But that's what you're saying, though. You're saying that paradigm, that mindset, that's 400 years old. That's over 400 years old. How do you break that over 400-year-old deep down rooted mindset? That one right there, ripple effects to the rest of them.
They saying the pandemic might break it. It's a lot of folks won't be going back to church like they used to when this thing is, if it's ever going to be over. So I don't know if that's going to do it, but then they're going to direct us maybe somewhere else too. So,
but you mean people are already in church?
What's that?
People are already in church.
Yeah, I know that, but not like it used to be. No.
He's saying people are not going to return.
No, not like that.
Before.
No, them domes, some of them big domes going to be closed, and they just shut them things. Going to turn into community centers or civic centers or something. They're not going to be able to get those people back in there like that. You do have people going back to church. You know what I'm saying? But won't be like it was.
I mean, it's a huge thing, and definitely, it's not going to change. I don't think that definitely we're not going to affect everyone over the next couple hundred years either. I think, you know, as you do, you have to kind of take care of your corner of the world and do what you can as far as bringing it to people's attention, that mindset, you don't even realize what's in your mindset, and that you have to start to
Right.
look at that.
Right.
And so, and of course, everyone's not going to respond to that, or they're going to listen and they're not really going to take it as deep as we need to go with it. But that's what, I mean, that's what we have to do. I mean, you have to chip away at it. I don't know how long that takes. I don't know if it's possible for everyone to be affected, but at the same time, those of us that know better, then we have to chip away at it. We have to do something, whatever's in our power to do. And so, you know, and if you only affect one person or two people, I think that that's still powerful, because then who do those, just like in our business, then who do those two people interact with, and who are they
Right.
able to you know, affect and change their minds and get them going. And that's really the only, but we have to share it, and we have to share it with the young people, because I'm going to tell you that same light and dark thing that we were talking about, it is so prevalent right now on social media. These folks are actually against each other, saying, oh, well, I knew she was light skinned because she did whatever. And, you know, those of us that are, no, all of us are of color.
Right.
We're just different shades of color.
But
But
let me intervene with that real quick. Not even as are different hues, because it's not even just light and dark. We got a multiple hue
right,
of colors going on, but it even goes as deep as young and old. Because I heard my mom have a conversation with, you know, her ministers association, and it was like the young ministers against the older ministers. Well, y'all are thinking way too up. Well, y'all not thinking traditional enough. That's too secular for the Lord. And we can't do that because we gotta wade in the water. And it is, like he said, where at what point do you say, hey, we're all on the same side?
right.
We all need to break this cycle that started way back in the 1600s.
But that proves how powerful the cycle is,
Right.
and the indoctrination is, because we're even having that, like, what is that? It's the, you know, it's the religious community, and we're pitting older against younger rather than working together. But it's the whole indoctrination. That's all part of what's been programmed.
Look at the music. You know, the mayor of New York said he's gonna get them to stop playing drill music. Now, I don't know if y'all know what drill music is, but it came out of Chicago. And drill music is pretty much just, you know, they pretty much talking about killing everybody in the music. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the guy Chief Keef made it popular.
Is
the
it gangster
music.
rap?
What is it?
Gangster rap?
No. This is drill music. This is different from gangster rap. The drill music is really telling you. Gangster rap is talking about it. Drill music is talking you into going to kill somebody. And it's terrible. But then, you know, you have some people say, well, what about free speech? You know what I'm saying? You ought to allow, because if you stop that, then you're going to stop everything else. And then you have some people say, well, why is it okay to stop that, but you don't stop the movies that are being portrayed, all the violent? It's so many violent movies. Everything is violent. Everybody's getting stabbed and killed on every Netflix movie almost. It's just being murder. But it's something about our culture listening to this rap drill music that we believe more in that than the movies. You know what I'm saying? So it's something about our culture that will drive us to now. You know, Jay-Z said Scarface did more to him. The Scarface, the movie, did more to him than rap songs now, which could be, you know, you could say that too. But this rap drill music is like, it feels like it talks to so many people that are poor and broke and busted in the hood, that's in the projects, that, you know, it talks to them. You know what I'm saying? And so now you feed that group of people and making it even worse. But then somebody says, well, you know, Chief Keef and these other guys have made a lot of money from it, and they moved out the neighborhood now, so it's helped them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But you know, how do you got to deal with that too?
What did Chief Keef do? Who he killed? Is that what they're saying? Well, he killed somebody and made it out, so I can kill somebody and make it out.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know, that's the deal. He's supposedly did all that. He went to jail a lot of times. They never got him, but he did a lot of that. Because see, that goes back to what some guys, one of the guys said, well, you already said that you hate rappers who fake gangster and they ain't really live that life. So now you got rappers living that life, and now you don't want that either. So,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
But then that's my question too. I mean, it sounds like, and I don't know Chief Keef, what he's done, his background or anything like that. But if I didn't kill somebody, I'm not going to talk about it all in my music.
But they do that.
I'm not going to do all that.
They do it. And they got kids doing it.
But did they really do that? Or are you just talking about it? Are you just saying that to sell,
got away with it, and some
music?
of them didn't. You know what I'm saying? You got guys getting arrested right now for doing different interviews. You know, some of them guys get on Vlad TV and let him interview him, and he lead them right down the path.
Oh, he does.
And the police come get them and lock them up because they telling on themselves. You know what I'm saying? But they want to be famous and they want to be on it, be interviewed, and they go out there and run their mouth and say something they shouldn't. So you got a lot of these guys actually doing some of this stuff now, and then they put it on.
That's that mentality that you were saying.
But I'm saying, okay. But who's pushing it? Who's behind the labels that's pushing that and letting it come out? You know, we already know who that is. But how do you stop that? Because they need money. They want money.
Right. And it also gives them a sense of power. Doing the music too. I mean, it's power that that has been taken away, that they felt that they don't have, and that's a way to gain it back. So I'm pretty sure that's part of the rhetoric that's fed to them as they're led down that path.
Mm-hmm.
To we can promote you, we can get this out there, people want to hear it, and all of that. So now you're sharing the empowerment, to those that feel stepped on, stood on their heads and what have you. And so I don't know how you get rid of that, because now you have something that's speaking to the people. But I will liken it too to, hard rock, like really hard rock, did similar thing. Now they
they put them in a drug craze. Hard rock music did that a lot. But it seems like rap killed all of that. Rap took out everything. Like when rap music, they blocked it for a while, but it took out hard rock. It took out,
it really did,
all the other genres of music almost. You know what I'm saying? Now it's just rap almost. You don't even hear nothing else on the radio, unless it's oldie stuff.
But when they took it out during those times, rap was talking about something.
Right.
I mean, and then that was a threat. That was a threat to
right.
We won't say who was infiltrating our community, saying, oh no, we got to keep them separated. And this is how we keep them separated. But like you said, dumping the drugs and dumping the guns in our communities. Well, the rap was saying, well, this is what they're doing. We need to come together and kill all that. So that's why they was trying to shut rap down.
It was said that in 1993, the music industry had this meeting, and it's a number of people claim they know for sure. Nobody's brought that up, but that's when they got together and decided that they're going to turn the whole thing around. Because up to that point, it wasn't as violent. It turned the whole thing around to gangster. If you notice, because before that, you had different groups who did different things. You had I can't even think of some of the groups.
Will Smith talking about his parents.
Yeah, but you had what was the other group that did the song Tennessee?
Don't get me lying, it's not.
I mean, you had a lot of different groups that did different stuff, and it wasn't all gangster and all that,
But they all had messages.
Right.
All of them had messages.
Right, but they killed all that. And so I don't know the answer. I just brought up the question tonight. I know we probably going overtime. I just brought the question, just to see, we can stir the pot or something. I don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's what I'm so
tired of hearing about and showing it. It's like I don't even, watch the news anymore, but I know that the masses are watching it and don't realize there's a programming that's going on, because it says television programming. So it's, it's doing it right there. It says it
right in front of you, right?
Let me watch my favorite program.
But let me ask you a question
Yeah.
before you get off. Let me ask you a question, since you're talking about the Super Bowl. And I've heard it on my social media accounts how during the Super Bowl halftime show, the only white performer on the stage kneeled down.
Right.
And nobody said a word. Like, it was fine. Oh, Eminem kneeled down. That was fine.
Oh, yeah.
Colin Kaepernick kneels down. Any other black player kneels down. That's a problem.
Right. Well,
what do you think about that?
I already know the answer to that. We already know the answer to that. And I just know that's just, and that's why he did it. Dr. Dre knew it. Snoop knew it. They knew it was going to happen. And they knew that he could do it. If they did it, they would be banned forever.
We'd be talking about it today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be over with. So Eminem said, I'll follow the sword because I know there ain't nobody gonna do nothing to me about it. You know what I'm saying? So what it says is this: if a lot of other white folks do the same thing, that'll help a lot. Like a lot of white football players, basketball players, if all of them had started taking a knee, then that would have helped a tremendous amount. But they didn't do that, and then other folks didn't do it. So, well, I'm not saying not all people, because other people did do it. But I'm saying popular people that took a stance like that, then it'll be hard for them to debate it, even though they probably would. But we didn't do it because I understand why, because we would be blackballed forever.
Well, and it's tricky too, because then you get blackballed like that, and then how much power can you have? How much can you continue to use your platform?
Right.
So, yes, other people have to do the things that we would do to speak against, to act against, to show about the disparities, inequities, all of that, the injustice, in order for this to happen. So that's actually part of the answer, is that it can't just be us.
Right.
Because then it's just us complaining about and not happy with and just want to pull the race card and all of these type of things, instead of that this is in actuality what's going on, that we have a double system going on that treats one group of people one way and everyone else, not just white. You can come into this country from someplace else that you're not of color and be considered above a black person, and that is totally perpetuated within our society as well. And so, everybody else has to join us in this effort, in order for it to move anywhere. And still, even then, you're not going to get everyone, because everyone's been programmed.
Right.
So
exactly.
Not to mention, once money starts getting thrown in people's faces, it's over with after that.
Oh yeah, that's the one of the challenges now, because you got a lot of NFL players that they might be making $15 million a year, $10 million a year, but they maxed out. They can't take a chance on, losing that money, because they spending it all. They got two, 3 side pieces. They got the wife. They got the mother they taking care of. They got the kids they can't lose all that money. So they like, I ain't about to do all that. You know what I'm saying? So.
Oh, especially if it's, well, let me add to your 10 million. If you follow what I'm saying, let me add to your 10 million. I'll give you more money. I'll take you out of that maxed out contract, and I'll give you an extra $2-3 million if you do what I say.
Yep.
Which goes all the way back to the slavery days.
Right. And the thing is, it's hard to say turn down that, because they might turn it down and then nobody else turns it down. It's like the drug dealer's statement is, well, if I don't sell it, somebody else going to sell it.
Move to the next corner.
Yeah, right. So, one guy's like, well, if I turn down this money to stand for justice, and then nobody else is standing for justice.
Because they're gonna say, look at Cap. Look what happened to Cap.
Right.
Look what happened to Cap. I don't want that to happen to me.
Well, I think Cap got paid out of that deal. I really do. I think he's worked it out with that. I think now whether the plan was what he really wanted to do or not, but what time is it? How far are we going over?
we
are
gotta
10
get out of
minutes over.
here.
Oh
We gotta
God,
get
we
out
got
of
to
here.
go. We supposed
Yes.
to be on the other.
This was awesome.
I got to
Thank you.
change shirts.
See,
Okay.
y'all,
Well, you go
see,
change
someone
shirts.
then dangled the money over y'all. Now y'all got to go.
Yeah, I got to go.
We gotta get to work.
Bye.
Bye.
Where my leave button? Where? Leave.
Oh,
Let's
we'll
leave.
take you out.
Yeah, we'll take you out. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining the discussion. Wow, we had so much conversation over here. So we'll probably be responding for the next week to some of the comments. Definitely powerful statements from Lavonda
Yes.
Johnson and Beverly Johnson and Dr. Gerald Tolliver.
That's the development. Thank you, Dr. Cheryl. I couldn't think of it.
Yeah. And Tammy Clark, Tammy Speaks, Tam Speaks. I got to get used to that right there.
That's Tammy Clark.
And Mr. Ronald is on there. Valicia. So we thank you all. Valerie Davidson, thank you for joining us. And we will see you next week on another exciting Serendipity.
Really quick, don't you guys forget to start watching us on our YouTube channel. Go to Serendipity on YouTube, where Tammy Clark is currently at. Thank you, Tammy. With that being said, you guys, good night.
Subscribe. Bye.